This interview was done on behalf of Nightmare Press. Please remember to subscribe and like the video, otherwise the videos don't get seen. Thanks for watching, and let's continue with the interview. Hello there viewers, good morning, good evening, good night, whichever it is, wherever you are. My name's Samuel J. White, or Sam J. White on Facebook, but it says Samuel J. White on the front of my books. I'm from Norfolk, England, and I've been interviewing some indie authors or authors from smaller presses to help get some love out there for their work. In this interview, I interviewed Tod Sullivan, who is an American author who lives in Taiwan. Okay, so if I start with the first question, ask your name. It's an easy one.
Oh yeah, my name is Todd Sullivan. Actually, I'm just here in Taipei, Taiwan.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I don't know if your audience knows the United States, but anyway, it's south in the U.S.
Yeah, I didn't quite get down to there. I visited a few years ago, but didn't quite make it down that way. Didn't have enough time, unfortunately. But
where'd you go to in the U.S.?
I went to started off in Boston, did a rowing race in Boston, then went to New York for a few days, then sort of traveled on the Greyhound bus, went down to Washington, and then the bus broke down. I got stuck for a few days. That was in Knoxville. I went to Nashville, then got a flight to San Francisco and LA, and then ran out of time, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so like the north and then the west, basically.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That was about 2007. Sorry.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a long while ago. So you've moved away from America now, obviously. You're there permanently.
Yeah, I've been out in Asia for 11 years, so it's been a bit more than a decade that I've been living out here.
Yeah. As you find it much, obviously it's a very different culture out there.
Not difficult, no. I mean, again, I probably wouldn't have done it for 11 years because it was like difficult.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah, it's different. It's different, not rather than difficult. Not difficult, different.
Oh, different. Oh, yeah, different. Yeah, it's definitely different. Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, there are some things that are fundamentally the same because it's just people. So like they wake up in the morning, they go to work, they bring their kids to school, they come home. So all those things are basically fundamentally the same, probably no matter where you go. But I mean, there's like just cultural things, like like the way houses are kind of structured, of course, are a bit different. Their values, what they find important, things like that. So that's where the differences come in. But fundamentally, no matter where you go, it's basically fundamentally the same.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister lived in Beijing for a bit. I went and visited. But Beijing's obviously not the same place, but I mean, it's a huge culture shock going there to somewhere like where we are. So so it's nice to get to travel and learn different things, different cultures as well, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it opens your eyes and lets you see like the different ways in which people live. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question was, tell us briefly where you are. You've already said to us that you're in Taiwan, so I don't need to ask that question. What sort of books do you write? I believe you'd be in a horror genre if you worked with Jacob.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like horror, and then I do fantasy. That's another publisher that I work with. I do fantasy, and then right now I'm doing a bit of superhero genre. So I guess it's 3 genres now. It's horror, fantasy, and then I guess superhero genre.
Yeah. Superheroes are quite cool at the moment. There's a lot of superhero films around and stuff like that. So that's hopefully something that's going to work. I mean, I know a lot of kids are into stuff like the Avengers and stuff like that, and Shazam was very popular.
Yeah,
it
is. I mean, it's been going on for like ever. I mean, it just seems like, well, not anymore because Hollywood's kind of shut down. But we have so many superhero movies over the last 10 years. It's just a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking of doing something similar at some point, but not at the moment. But yeah, superheroes sounds pretty cool. Yeah. So what made you want to start writing books?
I mean, I just started writing when I was very young. It's something like, it becomes like an outlet for some people, particularly
Yeah,
if you're not very talkative, and you can do a lot of writing instead. And it's a way to communicate
yeah,
besides just talking. But, yeah, and I just started when I was very young, like sometime in elementary school, just writing things down. And as I got older, you start learning about short stories and short story form. And then when I went to university, learned about like novel form and stuff like that. So it's just like a
yeah,
progression of learning different things over the years.
yeah. That's what the same I get when I speak to people. They all sort of say the same thing. They started young, but then they progress. I mean, I started again pretty young, but I was doing a lot of sports and I got an injury and I couldn't do any sports anymore at that point. So I just sat down on the computer and
Mm.
started writing, and then went back to sports again, and then now I'm back to writing again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I get what you mean. It's progression from when you're younger. You sort of,
Right.
your writing matures as well, doesn't it? I look back at some of the stuff I've done then and think, oh God, even that. But yeah,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
got
definitely changed a lot. I mean, the like I tutor young people in writing, and a lot of their stories are just because they don't really understand the way the world works. It's just extremely unrealistic. That's really one of their
yeah,
main problems. That there's no. It's just there do things in the story that obviously can't be done in real life. I'm not talking about like superhero stuff. I mean just like
yeah,
regular things because they don't understand money and the way systems work and things like that. So
yeah,
definitely as you get older and you understand just how like paying rent works and then just things like that, your story adds becomes more
yeah,
realistic.
yeah. I definitely agree with that one. Um, okay. So I put here, how long have you been writing for? But that's again, that relates to the last question. You've been writing since a long time ago, since you were younger. So we've covered genres already. So who was your favorite author?
I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite author, but I really liked. I was really big into Herman Hesse at a certain point. When I was in
Yeah,
university, I read a lot of Herman Hesse, maybe before university. And then like Anne Rice, when I was in high school, I read a lot. I read some.
yeah,
I mean, I read like 3 or 4 of her books: Interview with the Vampire, The Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned. I actually didn't read any more beyond that, so I guess I'm not really like because I know she has like a really like a
yeah,
lot of books out there. But I read
yeah.
those 3.
I've not
So
read
those
any
are
of
the ones.
her books, but I've seen the film Interview with the Vampire. I loved that, but I've not read the
Right,
book
yeah,
yet.
Interview with the Vampire with Tom Cruise and
Yeah,
Brad Pitt. That's
yeah,
so long ago now.
yeah. I was about 5 when that came out, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It was a long time ago.
It
Yeah,
was, yeah, older than 5, but yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, what books would you say you're best known for in your genre? What best book that you've written?
Maybe the horror books are a bit more well known than the fantasy ones. It's
Yeah,
actually just significantly easier for some reason to promote horror. I mean, the fantasy genre field is extremely crowded. There's just a lot of
yeah,
fantasy books out there. But with horror, it's crowded too. But I don't know. I just think there's significantly more fantasy, so it takes a lot more time to get your titles known. So yeah,
yeah,
Butchers and the Great Man Smoking Shadows probably has more. Is probably just more known.
yeah. I was speaking to the author I was speaking to the other night. Said he's also a horror author. He was saying how hard it is because horror gets ignored by the big publishers a lot of the time.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like one of the problems with horror is that it limits the age because normally, like with fantasy, I started reading fantasy. I read a lot of fantasy when I was like in like late elementary school, high school. But then, you know, like Clive Barker Hellbound, that's not gonna be read by elementary school. I mean, it could be, but still, you can't really market it to people who are too young, even though they could get their hands on it. But fantasy, you can. I mean, Harry Potter, you can market it to just about anyone. But again, Stephen King, it's a bit more hard to market to younger people.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like a lot of his stuff, but you couldn't really market it to young people though. Especially it and stuff like that, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, I didn't realize until I came out here that in Asia, actually, for younger people, they are very big upon not giving them things that are overly violent or like horror. They kind of avoid for people who are 18 and younger. So just like on the international market too, again, all the fancy stuff like Narnia and stuff like that, they could market that to people almost of any age. But then, horror, you just can't.
Yeah, I loved the Narnia books when I was younger. So that used to be one of my favorites.
Right. I mean, it's actually it's on the bookshelf at schools here, like Narnia. So it's just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they're saying now that they're like looking into all the religious background of it and stuff like that, and that I never really thought about it when I was younger, but as you know, Aslan being Jesus and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think the kids here are thinking about that, but I mean, I guess if you want to, I guess, if you want to, that's true.
Yeah. So, what was your personal favorite book that you've written? Not the one necessarily the one you're best known for, but the one that you had the best time writing.
Maybe The Gray Man Smoking Shadows. I really enjoyed that particular book. I enjoyed writing it. I like the main character that is surrounded a lot. So I did really enjoy writing that one. I think it came out pretty fast, like which is written fairly quickly. So I guess The Gray Man Smoking Shadow was probably, if I had to choose a favorite one, maybe inches out a little bit the other ones, but I enjoy writing all of them really.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm again probably the same, but my favorite one is always the one that I'm working on at the time, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found the world of authors? Have you found it hard to get some noticed, or do you find it just kind of happens, or you get sales easily?
No, I don't think anything comes when you're writing comes easily. Like getting published wasn't easy. I started trying to submit when I was 18. I finally got my first story published at 35, so it's quite a long time. Promotion is extremely difficult because not only promoting against just all the authors, we promote against just everything that's out there. You promote against trying to get her movies, big companies, just like a lot of noise out there, and you're just one small person or one small group. So it's always a grind. You just constantly at it. And if you do it long enough, you get a little bit more known. Your name's a little bit more known, but it's just a constant grind.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm finding it, but I haven't ever tried to get published. I've always been self-published because I found that it would be it's easier. You can just do it on your own terms and your own advertising and stuff like that.
Right.
But, if one of the big publishers came after me, then obviously, I could sell millions of books. Then I'd do that. But I just found that self-publishing, you can just put your books out whenever you want.
That's true. You can definitely. There's a lot more. Well, there's total control. So that is true. There's complete control. Well, more or less complete control.
Yeah. Different people work different ways, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one, what are you currently working on at the moment?
Like I'm doing a web series here in Taiwan for a group of like actors and directors and illustrators that I met here in Asia in like the last like 4 months. So we're doing a web series. The complete web series called For the Gods Open Eyes. And it's a superhero, again, that's a superhero thing I'm working on based on African mythology, because the concept person behind it was this guy from Africa. And so he's using all these, this African religion and philosophy and stuff like that and then we're building like a web series from there. So that's basically what I've been doing for like the past month and a half.
That's cool. Basically, the next one, we're coming to the end now. Is there anyone in the industry who you would like to thank?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank Jacob at Nightmare Press for publishing Butchers and the Gray Man Smoking Shadows. I mean, that's the main one, since he's the person who set me up with this one. So I
Jacob's a really good bloke.
Right. So I mean, that's it.
He's setting me up with a few people. And he set me up with a few people, and then people are seeing those interviews, and I've had more requests since I did the one like last week. So so he's done a really good job of helping me sort of kick this off again as well.
Cool. So that's the only person I want to thank.
Okay. Anything that you would like to know from viewers that we could put down they can put down in the comments? Any questions you would like to ask?
I mean, I guess just separating from the Nightmare Press thing, if you watch the For the Gods Open Eyes videos, we have 2 episodes up right now, The Educator and Animal School, and we have the 3rd one coming up, hopefully pretty soon. But if you make a comment or 2 about what you think about the content, because this is like a work in progress, and so we're interested in really any opinion anyone have, even if it's like just a couple of words, we'd be happy about that. So that's just that.
Hopefully I'll have the links down there in the comments.
So any comment on that would be cool.
That's great. And okay, we're at the end of the questions now. It's just last but not least, wave goodbye to everyone.
Oh, goodbye. Goodbye.